So it's really educating. If they don't, then no big deal. Then they just, a lot of times they just don't know. Don't take anything personal in this field. Hi, everybody. Hello. Welcome to e-Shadowing and happy Monday. Hope you guys are having a great Monday. Welcome to e-Shadowing. So I'm going to hop right into the session. The first thing I saw was the replay wouldn't even work for me. So yes, there was an issue with the replay from last week. We actually had to take it down, and everyone will get credit that watched the original session. And so basically it's we had to edit it, but the edited version will be on YouTube. So you won't get credit for the edited version if you watch it, but if you watch the original session, you'll get credit. But yes, I'm sorry about that, guys, but there were just some mishaps. It's all good in the neighborhood. Yes, you guys were not able to take. Well, some people were not able. You can take the quiz, but you couldn't really watch the replay, guys. Okay, so this session, there's no guest today, but there's gonna be a guest next week. But actually, when there's no guest, I create a case study for you guys. But I had a very long weekend of little sleep, and I worked all weekend, and I did not have a PowerPoint ready for. I do not have a PowerPoint ready for you guys for today. So I'm going to do it as a more of a Q&A session. If you guys want to ask questions related to my line of work, my specialty, of course you can, or PA questions, you can. But it's going to be more of a freestyle Q&A session tonight. I'm sorry if you were expecting a case study, but it's just a lot of traveling. It's a lot of traveling. Yes, self-care. All right, so let me see if there's any questions. You guys can start off by asking me questions if you have any. Yes, I'm definitely gonna get some rest. Yes, you'll still take a quiz as long as there's a session, you'll get credit. And all of my sessions, even though there's no actual case study like patient presentation study or patient presentation case, whatever, there's still going to be questions. It's still going to be focused on the PA career, knowing about the career, getting more information on the career, answering questions, just becoming more knowledgeable. That's also the point of shadowing, just really learning about the physician assistant career and medicine in general. So I try not to cancel e-shadowing as best as I can. What is your favorite and least favorite part about being a PA? People ask me that question a lot. I don't even know. Least favorite, well, favorite part. Well, I don't know the least favorite part. Favorite part, I would say, is the flexibility and being able to like go from specialty to specialty. Because I do feel like I'm on the verge of that. I know I kind of said I would never do emergency medicine, but I may not switch specialties, but may go into another, I guess you could say, specialty. But you guys stay tuned. I'll tell you guys more about that later because it's not finalized yet. But I'm just like experiencing burnout. I don't know, maybe you guys can sense my energy. I just feel like I'm experiencing like burnout and I'm too young for this. So the good thing about being a PA, or great thing about being a PA, is that, you can switch specialties from all specialties are going to come with stress. Everything comes with stress when you work. But, if you want to do something that's more like, not, as, I don't even know how to describe the ER, but, you can have a more relaxed environment, a more, such a intense environment. I would say intense, less intense environment. So yeah, I don't know what I hate about being a PA, and I don't really like saying that. I try to be positive. If you like are one of my students, you'll know that. Do you feel Good question, Alyssa? Do you feel like traveling is worth it? If so, what made you start travel PA? um, I started traveling. I started to do travel PA. It's a very personal story, but I'm not gonna get too in debt with it, but it was really financial based that I was doing travel pay because you do get paid more. I had some goals that I wanted to accomplish, which I did accomplish, like paying off my student loans. I was like, when I started traveling, I still had $66,000. And thankfully, what else helped me is that they stopped interest rates. There haven't been interest rates on student loans since like March 2020 when like the world stopped, right? So because of that, I was able, my loan stopped at 66,000, and that's what I ended up paying off. And I was just big on trying to pay my loans off so I can accomplish my personal dreams and goals and not really be so like, oh my gosh, I have loans. I have, I have to put money into another bill. So yeah, that's why I started traveling essentially. And I kind of continued it. But the downside is that I don't like the instability of traveling and being away from home. I'm such a homebody. I'm really big on being comfortable and living the lavish lifestyle that I live. I'm just kidding, guys. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Um, yeah, I'm really big on comfort, and I don't really get that with traveling, especially when you go to certain areas that are different from where you live. And of course, my dog, I miss my dog so, so, so much. I wish I could take her with me. But when you work in the ER, or especially like different assignments that are unpredictable, you're gone for hours and hours and hours. I don't want her struggling. So she's away, and it just breaks my heart. It also like makes me feel down too. So I get her next week, finally. So hopefully I'll be in better spirits. I really miss my dog. But yeah. So the downside is that, the upside, if you don't have kids, if you don't have a family, I mean, even if you have a family, you don't mind being away from them from time to time. But I would say if you have a family, I would not travel at all because it's just like, I mean, I have just my dog and I feel it. Like I can feel like being away from her. But if you have a family, unless you can just go home whenever and sleep with them and be up under them, I probably wouldn't do it. I just like I don't know. As I get older, I kind of see that like really what's important in life, and sometimes it's not always about the money. So yes, why did you want to be a PA versus an NP? Alrighty, for the newbies. So I wanted to be a PA because basically it aligned the most with my life path and the things that I wanted to do. I mean, there's different reasons why you want to be a PA, right? You first get into medicine, you say, I like medicine, I like the field of medicine, right? And that's kind of how your essay is going to be structured. Oh, I got into medicine. Oh, I chose PA out of everything in medicine. So everybody that's in healthcare, hopefully you're all caring, you all like have the little generic characteristics, caring, love helping people, compassionate, blah, 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 blah. So you have to think about, what's going to make you, what made PA stand out. I mean, it's going to all vary based on who you are. So for me, PA stood out for me because it aligned, like I said, with what I wanted to do as far as being able to practice similar to physicians, see patients independently. The PA route was more along the line of training that I wanted to receive as far as being trained on the medical model. And I didn't have to go back to nursing school first and then be an NP. Because I already had a bachelor's degree, or I was already completing my bachelor's degree. So it was easier to do PA where I could just go get my master's right after my bachelor's rather than get a second bachelor's and then going into NP school. I would say NP school if you're already a nurse and go straight forward, go straight there. But if unless you want to do it, but if you're already have a bachelor's degree, anybody that already has a bachelor's degree that's interested in healthcare and has experience in healthcare, I tell them go be a PA. It's like the more straight path to getting to where you want to go, I would say. Alrighty, you guys have a lot of questions. They're like kind of coming in. I try not to like kind of read whatever I see first. So, good question, Corinne. What undergraduate class did you find to be the most helpful for PA school outside of the prereqs? Oh, if you didn't take it, would you wish that you had taken a particular class? Okay, I would say the prereqs that were as far as prereqs, I know you didn't say prereqs, but as far as prereqs, what really helped me in PA school was microbiology. I really felt like microbiology, of course, anatomy, physiology, and microbiology. Chemistry, organic chemistry, I can't even tell you what I remember from those classes, man. They were, I could have done without them for PA school. Okay, I'm not going to be a bad influence, but microbiology and anatomy and physiology, of course, definitely helped. But the only thing is that I took anatomy and physiology in college, in high school, my senior year in high school, and I went to PA school like 6 years later. So I kind of struggled with anatomy and physiology. So I get when they say that they want your classes to be less than 10 years apart because you forget, man. So mine were like 6 years. So yeah, definitely microbiology. Microbiology, I did really well in microbiology because I took and biology I took microbiology and biology like 2 semesters before starting PA school. I started PA school May. I took biology like in microbiome either summer or spring of that year prior. But they really were helpful in preparing me for PA school. So don't play with those classes. You want to play with chemistry and organic chemistry and all that? You ain't hear it from me. Okay, I'm just kidding. So, and then as far as a class that was not a prerequisite that helped me, I was a sociology major, and just learning about, societal and social force influences that kind of force, uh, people and the decisions that they make, learning about people. And I basically kind of minored in psychology. I was like one class away from officially having a minor in psychology. So those having those experiences or that type of education also really helped me just kind of understanding patients and not judging them, not being so biased. And I put that in my essay as well, understanding the social impacts of patients, or patients' healthcare decisions, or what influences them to make certain healthcare decisions or to present a certain way. Like for instance, lower income neighborhoods have a McDonald's on every corner and I say something like that, as compared to a Whole Foods market, right? We all see that, and that's influencing their decision. And lower income, individuals, are less informed about their health, and that's not necessarily their fault, but just it's a systematic thing. So yes, I put some stuff like that in my essay. For orientations and interviews, what would some good questions be to ask current students as faculty about during the social hour? I know they evaluate you on, man, they evaluate you on that. I'm sure they do. I'm sure they evaluate you on everything. I feel like I'm so shy. I don't even talk. So maybe that's why I didn't get into one of the schools that I didn't get into. But anyway, social hour, I would focus it more on less like medical stuff and more on getting to know the people for who they are, right? So I would ask them what they like to do. I would ask them, I would show that you're social. It's social hour. So you're not going to be talking about medicine the whole time. Ask them what they like to do, what they like to do for fun, where they went to school undergrad, how it is where they live. Because, if you're going to meet people that live, all these different areas and cities and states, how it is where they live, make, casual conversation, tell them about yourself, tell them about what you like, what you dislike, any hobbies that you may have. Talk about shows on TV. Like, I don't know, everybody's talking about this thing called Squid Games, right? I don't watch Netflix. I know I'm weird. I don't really watch TV. I don't watch Netflix. I'm probably the only person in the world that does not watch Netflix. So yeah, you talk about like social stuff, social media. I don't know, memes, TikTok. You have to show that you're, yeah, Alyssa Jones. Do you feel like traveling? That's like the first question that I saw because I'm just like, ah. But good question. I answered that. Can working as a direct contact with mental health patients count as direct patient care? Right, you said the word in the word, right? In the sentence, right? You said direct. So patient care hours is direct. They want you to be hands-on, directly involved in the patient's care. And if that's what it is, then yes, I'm telling you, it will count for hours, especially in mental health. If you're like a mental health tech, but not in the area of psychiatry, mental health, that's still going to count. Don't think that mental health is not medicine. During rotation, is that the best time to connect for a position in the field? Yeah, I would say that would be a great time to connect and build a relationship with others in the medical field that you see. Sometimes it'll be difficult because like me, I was just like I was nervous and weird, but I was so nervous and I was just kind of focused on I don't know, just finishing rotations in school. I didn't really want to work where I went to school. But yes, it's definitely. Is there such thing as a travel PA similar to? Yes, this travel PA is very similar. Travel work at all, period, is very similar to what travel nurses do. You typically get paid a little bit more. They typically or should be paying for your housing, your vehicle, your. Sometimes they give you like a meal stipend. See, they reimburse you for your gas if you have like when you drive the vehicle. I actually need to turn that in. Yes. And then another thing I didn't really like, my place didn't put me in an Airbnb. It's not that I want to be in an Airbnb. I just I didn't really like the hotel that I was into. I'm over it, guys. How are providers or even programs dealing with treating trans patients and learning more about that population? Great, that's really good. A great question, Carissa. I try to ask them what they're the first thing is asking them what they're comfortable with being called, as far as like not just their pronouns, but do you want to be called your name? Do you want, because a lot of times the names in the charts, what's going to be there, like as far as a lot of the charts I've seen, that'll have like their birth name, and then I think in parentheses it'll have like their their given name, or yeah, their names. And so I asked them what they would like to be called. I kind of find out what they're comfortable with. This is for me. I think a lot of places are adapting and learning. I do think that it should be part of. I'm not sure if it is, or hospitals do it. Part of like all that onboarding stuff you have to do for hospitals. That's a great question. That's a great question. We actually had um, a PA that came in that was a presenter months ago, and his name's Jonathan, and he works in colorectal, and he discussed the LGBTQ population and trans and pronouns and everything, and it was a great session. I think that's actually on YouTube if you want to learn more about that. In your opinion, does being a COVID screener count as patient experience? If you're talking to patients, I guess you swab that patient, talk to that patient, getting healthcare experiences with contact, I think that it does. I think a few people did COVID screening too. And this is not, honestly, not to just constantly, tell you guys to come on MedSembly, but it's just that like, or go get out of MedSembly. It's just that a lot of these questions that you have, a lot of the students that apply to PA school that, are on MedSembly, or PA students or pre-PAs that got into MedSembly and are going to become PA students, did these. So that's why I recommend you guys go on the app and ask them those questions that I won't necessarily know because I didn't go to school at the time of COVID. But I think some of the students were COVID screeners and they still got into PA school. Like, it did count. But if you don't know anything, the best source is the school. Ask your school. Which specialty has the most need for PAs right now? I don't think that there's ever a specialty that's going to have the greatest need. It's going to vary by location. Really, a lot of times it's going to vary by location. Locations have, various, it changes, with time, with location, with population, because, there's different populations of people. Like this hospital I was at had a very, very large, there's a lot of elderly patients because they're right across from a nursing home. So it really depends on the area that you live in as far as the need and the needs for specialty and type of PAs. How did you finance a PA education? So yeah, I took out loans and paid off my loans. AB. So I'm not afraid to tell you guys how much I took out. When I graduated PA school, I think I was in debt around like 83 or 85,000. The only debt I had from undergrad was from studying abroad. I paid about like 4,500, I think, to study abroad. I mean, I don't regret it, but I ended up paying, that was like, I think one of the first ones I paid off. But yeah, that was the only loan I had undergrad. If you're able to, please, please, please minimize your undergrad loans because PA school is expensive. Unless you have a scholarship or something like that, but minimize your undergrad loans, and so your PA loans aren't so crazy because you don't want to like be $100,000 in debt. Because to me that's crazy. I was like around 85, but I have friends, classmates that are way beyond that. And I mean, if finances matter to you, then yes, or if paying debt off matters. Some people don't care. Some people like they'll have that money when I die. Some people don't care, and that's fine. But I cared, and I didn't want debt. So, how did you keep your overall loan debt so low? 85,000 is low. So I said 4,500 from undergrad, and no, I ended up owing 7,500 from undergrad because I accidentally took out a loan. That's the thing when you're a first generation college student. I took out a loan without even knowing. And I used it when I remember it was a $3,000 loan I took out when I started, and I used it because I didn't think I was going to get a Pell Grant. And I ended up getting a Pell Grant, but I already used the loan, and I still use my Pell Grant too to pay off my bills and stuff, but I used the loan. So then I really owe 7,500 from undergrad. So like I said, I went to UF. Gators, go Gators. So I had the Pell Grant, I had Bright Futures. So I didn't have like any actual like scholarships. I was just too lazy to write a bunch of essays in college. I mean, in high school. So yeah. Okay, yes, $8,500. I mean, $7,500 undergrad, and then the rest was PA school, and I owed about $85,000. So about $70,000 in PA school. I just took out the minimum. I only took out what I needed. So I only took out for tuition. Thankfully, my parents helped me out with rent, food, bills, whatever. My parents covered that. I only took out around $10,000 a semester. That's how much my tuition was, like 10,500, sometimes 10,000, sometimes 11,000, and it was 8 semesters or 7.5, whatever, but it totaled to about 80,000, something like that. I don't know, but I paid it off. And it's just that, like, from like and my goal was to pay it off in 5 years, right? And I paid it off before 5 years. But from like year 1 to 4, I think I paid around over $20,000. I think way more than that. And it barely moved. Like, it moved $20,000. It went from like 80 something thousand to 66,000. Because that interest will kill you. If I didn't have interest, I would have been like paid off my loan, but the interest will kill you. Have you ever had a patient who didn't want to be seen by you because you were a PA? If so, how did you handle it? You asked this in an interview and was curious. Oh, I was asked this in an interview and was curious about the perspective of a current PA. If a patient did not want to be seen by me by an interview, I would initially think that it's because of ignorance. They simply don't know about the PA profession. So I would politely, and I'm kind of saying it so you guys can know how to answer it if it comes up in an interview. I would politely explain to them or educate them on the PA profession, and educate them. You want to say educate them. You want to say that physicians are extensions of the your doctor, or the physician assistants are extensions of the physician, and they were created to fill the healthcare worker shortage gap, or the healthcare gap, and we're trained very similar to physicians in that we can assess, treat, diagnose, and create care plans and whatnot. And oftentimes, like I collaborate with the physician, or the physician's readily available to talk to in case I have any questions regarding your care. And yeah, and and you can go on and say, I have other patients within the practice, or, in the ER, or wherever you're working, that I'm presently treating. So they know that you're doing your job. and then if they still don't want to, you can be like, that's perfectly fine, ma'am. Or sir, I'll, go talk to the physician and have them talk to you or whatnot. And then you explain it to the physician, and then the physician goes and does whatever. And yeah, so it's really educating. If they don't, then no big deal. Then a lot of times they just don't know. don't take anything personal in this field. So yeah, so that's how I would do it. I would not take it personal. I would just go inform the doctor. And if it's a setting where a doctor is not readily available, and like urgent care, a lot of times urgent care is it's a sole provider practice, then or like a very rural area and they don't want you, then I would say, my physician is available for me to discuss, but they're not present at the moment. And if they don't want to, whatever, they could take it up with management. Y'all are really like starting to see some of my personality. What college did you go to? I went to University of Florida undergrad in Nova Southeastern University for PA school in Florida. I did not do an accelerated PA program. Have you thought about switching specialties so you can work remotely or have a more structured schedule? Yes, I'm really wanting to work like more remotely. I'm actually really, really wanting to get into academics, but I'm just trying to figure out how to do it with my other dreams and goals. So I really, really, really want to get into academics and teach y'all. I found that, doing case studies and stuff, I like, presenting them and getting them ready. I don't know. I don't have all the answers. I don't know everything. I mean, I've been a PA for 5 years, so there's people that know way more than me. And that have been in practice longer, but I really like teaching. And if I don't know the answer, I know how to get the answer or people to ask for the answer. And I want to be able to help prepare kids, just like, how I mentor, but, do it on a larger level, like helping the whole classroom of kids that are really bright and brilliant and probably won't really need much of my help. So my goal, I guess I'll tell you guys, is to become a professor. That's what I want to do now. And I mean, maybe you saw me light up a little bit because I'm just over. But yeah, my goal is to become a professor and get into academics and teach you guys. So I just don't want it to interfere with like e-shadowing and, other stuff that I do. I don't want schools to have a problem with it. So I hope that I get a job in academics, and maybe I'll be your professor one day and you guys will meet me in person. Hopefully I'm not a bad professor. I'm just kidding. Okay. Do you know if PAs can work in physical medicine and rehab? I know PAs can work, and there is like workman's comp and stuff like that. As far as like physical medicine, like sports stuff, I'm not sure. Is work-life balance better for PAs compared to MDs? It's really what you make of it. I like to say PAs have a better work-life balance because, they don't have as much, they don't like, I mean, you can own a practice as a PA with the help of an MD, but a lot of times it's the MD that owns the practice or the MD that has, to do the surgery and this and that. And so there could be more stress and less of a work-life balance, and MDs go to school so much longer. But it's really what you make of it. You can be in surgery and have a crazy life, right? And barely, have time for anything. So you create your own work-life balance. I actually saw that on someone's page. Your PA mentor. I like her. She has some good content. Your PA mentor. So it's really what you make of it. And I agree with her on that. You create the job that you want. If you don't like a specialty, you leave, and you like what I'm kind of thinking about doing now. I want to get into academics, or at least, dibble and dabble. I'm just kidding. Or just get into that because I feel like that's what I'm now passionate about. Do you have tips for traditional interview? You guys got a lot of questions. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Or maybe it's feedback. Okay, do you have any tips for traditional interview styles? Traditional interviews as far as like actually going in person, or do you mean because I think all the interviews now are via Zoom or virtual, and that sucks because I like being in person, meeting people in person, but I get it for the schools. They interview thousands and thousands of students, so that's a lot of contact. They'll probably be doing virtual the next year or two, honestly, I feel like. But traditional interview styles, I can send some information now. I actually put a post on Medsum because it's going to be so much to explain and you guys have so many questions. I'll create one. I'll create a post on a discussion board on Medsum. The discussion board on the app, anybody can post on the discussion board on the app. FYI, guys. Okay, that's not it. I can, if you don't know the app, I'll send you guys the link. I'll post the link. Give me 1 second. Let me post the link for you guys. But and there's a discussion board. Anybody can post on it. I post on it often. Whatever you want to discuss. It's like a little forum. So I'll post that tonight as far as as far as interview tips. And you can check it out and comment. I just got to find the link to that. And if you want to reach me directly, you can either reach me on the app or you can reach me on social media. That's the link to the app for now. You can reach me on social media at Assembly. I posted all that. My email. Try not to send my email because unless it's like a really long message, because I get overwhelmed. And on the app, I'll post interview tips. What kind of healthcare experience you had before you got into PA school? I was an LPN. Maybe that's why people ask me about nursing. I was an LPN. I did not do the nursing route because I did the LPN program, licensed practical nurse program, in high school. And I did that because my parents forced me to. I'm just kidding. No, they really did. But they did it, but I was young. But it really paid off. It was one of the best things they could have ever done for me because they did it because they wanted me to be a physician and get healthcare experience. And it was a free program at my high school. So I did it my senior year. I was on, doing clinicals, seeing, at the hospital. I wasn't really at school, at the hospital, nursing home. It was really cool. I was really in healthcare at like 17 years of age. And so it really paid off because I worked in college. I was making like $22 an hour, which is amazing at 18, 19, 21 years old. So I worked throughout college, and that's how I was able to get my patient care experience before I even knew what that was. So are PA interviews as intimidating as they seem? Yes. I wish I could say no, but you're going to be nervous. It's natural to be nervous, honestly, because this is like such a big moment in your life. It's such a life-changing thing, right? And it's going to it's going to change your life. So nothing new, nothing like that's, nothing life-changing is going to be easy. It's going to all come with, being nervous, having butterflies, going through the motions, lots of emotions, lots of tears. And that's fine because it just, I like roller coasters, which I actually love roller coasters. And, that's basically how life is. You go through the ups, downs, yelling, screaming, crying. And then at the end, you're like, oh, okay, this wasn't so bad. I didn't die. So. But I say all that to say, yes, the interview is going to seem intimidating. Some of your interviews are going to suck. Some of them are not going to be that great. You may cry. You may, cry afterwards. You may get a rejection, but it's all part of the process. What's for you will be yours. I promise you. No matter what you go through, nothing will stop you. Okay, nothing can stop you because it's for you. It was written in your life. I don't know how religious you guys are. I'm not going to, get too in depth with it, but it was written, for you. If it was written for you to be a PA, nothing's going to stop you from being a PA. Not a sucky, academic admissions person. Nothing. Not your patient care hours. Not your GPA. Not your GRE score. What's for you will be for you. Always think about that. As intimidating as nerve-wracking this process seems. Which specialty was your least favorite during rotations? Dermatology. Dermatology. Let me see. I can't try to remember all the rotations I did. Dermatology. I actually enjoyed my IC. I just found out that like rotations it's a lot of it is like just based on the preceptor, the people you get to work with, and I see that at work too. If you have a good work environment, you're gonna like it, you're gonna enjoy it, it's gonna be great. Like surgery, I actually hate the surgery specialty, but I work with some awesome people. My preceptor was the absolute best, and his PA was amazing. Shout out to Chrissy, Dr. Erison. They're amazing, and they made it great. Even though I still don't like surgery, I like it was not my least favorite because they made it great. So it's really, really going to be based on the professor, not even the actual specialty. I'm not. It's going to be based on the preceptor, not even the actual specialty. So just be mindful of that, because and I didn't think I would like ER. I ended up liking it. I had some great preceptors as well. How difficult is it to find a job as a new grad fresh out of PA school? Difficult. But that's going to be relative. It's going to be relative to the location, whether you were able to land a job while on rotations, whether you went to a school that's where you want to work. So say you're from Minnesota, you want to stay in Minnesota, you got a job in Minnesota. I mean, you got accepted to a PA school in Minnesota. Boom, you got a job in Minnesota. That's great. Me, I'm from South Florida. I went to PA school in like Southwest Florida. I didn't want to stay there, so I had a hard time, and I wanted to be in the ER, so I had an even harder time. So it's going to depend on the location, the specialty you want to get into. Some specialties are a lot easier than others, like family medicine, and I found that surgery can be easier for new grads because the surgeons like to train you guys. You guys are more like moldable and trainable, so surgery can be an easy specialty to get into. Surgery subspecialties, some of them too. And yeah, ER is definitely hard unless you got you live in an area that accepts new grads, or a residency program, or you got a job out of school. All ERs require, most ERs I would say, especially in the South, they require at least 1 year's experience as a PA, 1 or 2 years. How to credential the foreign health careers become qualified for paid school training? I actually don't know this answer, but I do have a foreign student that I mentor. If you email me, I can get you in contact with her. What would you suggest for someone of a non-traditional age applying to paid school? I would suggest a lot. Non-traditional students, I mean, I would still apply. That's kind of a broad question. I would suggest for you to apply, but what specifically do you want me to answer? If you guys have, email me or DM me, Quinita, email or DM me, like, so we can discuss it more specifically, and I can even post it, have stuff, posted on the app and stuff to help you guys based on that question. When would you recommend we do clinical hours classes during summer instead? Doing your hours is a continuous thing, right? So I would start as soon as you find out that you want to be a PA. I would try to find out how to get your hours right away, because you don't want to like jumble it all unless you can. You don't want to jumble it all into like one time period, because it can get stressful. So if you find out you want to be a PA your freshman year in college, that's great. So you have time to get those hours. Don't work full time, work part time, or work as needed. But because you have 4 years, right? You'll be able to get all those hours within that 4 years. Trust me, you will if you're working part time undergrad. 1,000 hours or 2,000 hours even is like a year of working, which is probably 2 years of part time work. So work part time and get your hours. If you find out that you want to be a PA, your junior year, you have less of a time. I would still work part-time. I would never, ever, ever, as long as I'm in school is going to come first. So don't try to work full-time while, in school, because you're going to mess up your grades. Remember, grades are just as important as those hours, probably a little bit more important. So work part-time, get your hours. You'll probably likely have to do a gap year to finish getting your hours if you don't get enough in by the time you apply. If you find out senior year, same thing. If you find out and you're a non-traditional student, you'll probably have, and it's a little different for non-traditional and older students because you guys have a lot more responsibilities. You might have kids, a husband, a wife, whatnot, bills, a mortgage, so you can't necessarily stop your actual job that's paying you a lot of money or paying you a considerable amount of money to do something like that, may not pay as much. You may have to still work a little part-time or transition, cut down to, work for a lesser pay and work full-time. It's all going to be up to you. But if you've already graduated, then I say work full time and, just kind of thug it out that 1 year, year and a half to get at least 1,000 hours or whatever your school requires. I don't watch Netflix either. Oh my gosh, Melanie, I need to see your face because I need you to talk to me because I've never met a person that doesn't watch Netflix. Okay. What questions did they ask you, or are you asked? You guys have so many questions. I should probably do this more. Do you think I should do this more, you guys? What questions did they ask you or are asking in PA interviews? Of course, they're going to ask you, tell me about yourself. Why do you want to be a PA? Why not such and such other field, such and such other field in medicine? And when somebody asks me that, I basically say why PA, and I don't really focus on why not that. I always say why PA. Like, why don't you want to be a doctor? I'm gonna tell you why I want to be a PA. I'm not gonna really bash other specialties. I'll just kind of, unless they say specifically, tell the difference, and I'll still raise that other healthcare profession up. So yeah, that's something that they'll ask you. And then the one question I got asked some ethical questions. Oh, if you see your classmate cheating on you, what you gonna do? I ain't no snitch, so I didn't say I'm a snitch. I said that I'm going to talk to that classmate. I'm going to explain to them, ask them more so what's going on and how I can help them rather than like kind of throwing them under the bus, and seeing ways that I can help them with their learning if it's happened once. And I think I said if it happens the second time or whatever, then I'll, discuss it with the professor. I don't know, but I ain't snitching. And then another question they got, I'm trying to remember. One of my interviews was pretty freestyle. She was really relaxed and outgoing. Relaxed and laid back, but then that was the school I didn't get into. So. And then my other schools, I don't really remember the questions. But I know they do the MMI interviews as well. Is it important to spread out your patient care hours? No, I only did LPN and I only worked in a nursing home. I did work in mental health towards the end, like before I went to PA school, but no, just don't stress yourselves out by doing so much. Keep it simple. If you want to do medical assistant and work in an office, just do that. Get your hours, get going. Are PAs directly hired by hospitals or other organizations like recruitment firms? Yes, they can be hired by hospitals. They can be hired by other recruitment or staffing agencies. Thank you for being transparent with us. Oh. Thank you. I just have such a soft spot for you guys. I'm just like, I've been doing e-shadowing for a year now, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, imagine if I was to do this like in a more formal setting and teach. I would still be myself, y'all. The school is not gonna kick me out for being real with you guys. You guys need to know how healthcare really is. Is it imperative to shadow PAs for the application process? Yes, it's very, very, very important. Imperative, all that. Synonyms. I've mainly had my patient care hours with doctors and nurses following graduation. I realized I haven't had any interaction with PAs. Yes, because you're applying to be a PA, so they want to know that you know about the PA profession. It's good. There's nothing wrong with having a doctor or a nurse shadowing one of them, but that tells them that you know about healthcare, but do you know about the PA profession? So it's very important to shadow a PA. It's important to shadow a PA. It's important if you can't to get a letter of a recommendation from a PA, and it's important if you can't to get your essay revised by a PA, because they know what's going on. They can, know how the process goes and what schools are looking for, right? You guys are great. Do PA schools even give out scholarships? Not necessarily PA schools, but organizations. How long did it take to pay off your loans? A little less than 5 years. I graduated PA school in 2016. I paid it off, and I had the money to pay it off in March 2020. March 2021. So it was a little less than 5 years, 4.5 years. But I was trying to see if Joe Biden was going to do anything, as far as forgiving loans. I thought he was about to do that, so I held off, and he never forgave loans. But I would be really, really mad if he decides to forgive loans and I paid my loans off. I could use that money to buy a house or to buy another house. Are you willing to host mock interviews or review individuals' CASPA app? I am. I do. I try not to do so much of it. I try to, defer it to some other people. But if you really want me, yours truly, I can. I'm not. It's just that I'm not like. I feel like I'm better at revising essays. I'm not the best at interviewing. I feel like, or answering interview questions, just because I feel so far removed from it. And CASPA as well. You guys can go on the app. I'll post the link again, and you'll see some mentors on there. This is fairly new, so you're not going to see a bunch of mentors. We're still trying to find people and working with people to get on the app, but it's growing, so please give us some time. But you should be able to find help on there. And if you can't, of course, I can help you with a mock interview, help you with your CASPA application, whatever you need. Thank you, Anisha. Thank you. Aww. Thank you. If you could give yourself advice after interviewing with grad school admissions, what do you wish you could have told yourself? I honestly don't remember. Like, interviewing was such a blur. I'm trying to remember. I just can't. Like, it was such a blur. I wish I would have just been more comfortable to where it wasn't like I blacked out. So a lot of times, like, I just don't remember some of the questions. Like, I interviewed at Barry University, right, in Miami. I interviewed at Barry in Miami, and this is not to bash Barry. It's a great school. The only I had heels, and they toured the school. They had us tour the school, which is great, but not in heels in your interviewing attire. So I had heels. I was walking. I was in my suit. I was sweating. The heels hurt. I was so mad because I had to walk all up and down that campus in heels. So I can't even tell you about how the interview went because all I can think about was how my feet were killing me from the heels. And I was sweating in the suit. So I don't know. I would just say to be more relaxed and just not so intimidated, even though Are you Haitian? Yes, I'm Haitian, guys. I'm a Zomami. I was born in Haiti. I migrated to Fort Lauderdale, Florida in '95 before a lot of you were born. I'm just kidding. Probably was. Who did you choose for your letters of recommendation? I actually chose my nursing, the director of nursing at the nursing home I worked with. She was over the whole nursing facility for nursing staff. The director of nursing, a nurse manager, so two nurses, because they could attest to my work ethic, who I was, and a PA. So two nurses and a PA, but the nurses were higher than me. They were a nurse supervisor for my shift because I work 11 to 7. So she was the 11 to 7 nurse supervisor. And then the director of nursing over all the nurses. And then a PA. So I didn't have a doctor or a professor. Do you think taking a gap year is a good idea? I think taking a gap year is a great idea if you need to finish your prereqs or get more hours. What is your advice for the foreign PA or MD degree you wanted to do PA school? Which school is great? I think all PA schools, the grade school is the school that will get you to be a PA, right? So I wouldn't be so focused on the U.S. News and World Report top PA school. No, it's just, are you going to pass your PANS? Is the school accredited? That's the most two important things that you want to think about. Is the school accredited? Is the school going to make you pass your PANS, which is their PANS pass rates? And then everything else is really going to be up to you. Make sure the school's accredited. Make sure the school has a high PANS pass rate. So that gives you an idea of, the teaching and how well they teach their kids, how well they make sure that their kids pass the boards. Because that's what's going to get you out there to work. Because a lot of your experience, a lot of your comfort is going to come when you start working. How many hours of patient care experience would you recommend? Do you think that PA programs will take COVID restrictions into consideration? Yes, I do think they will, or they have. I would recommend about anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000 hours. 2,000. I had a little over 2,000, so I would say that's a great number. Can you talk about the process of practicing outside of the state that you went to? If not, personal experience you have with friends, college who moved after school. I didn't, I was still in Florida. I went to PA school in Florida. I was outside of the city or the county that I went to. I mean, Fort Myers is kind of different from Broward County. Listen, if you from Broward County, if you from the 954, the 561, the 305, then you know what I mean. Okay, then you feel me. Okay, it's not the same thing as the 407, the 850, the 404, the whatever other area code. um, are PAs directly hired by hospital? Oh, we already answered that question. All right, I heard that. Okay, you guys, we have about 5 minutes left. I heard that combining work with the PA as shadowing is not allowed or seen negatively. What? What do you mean by that? Combining work with a PA as shadowing hours? What do you mean combining work? What study methods did you use during school? Ooh, okay, yes. So school. I said this before. School, I first loved the rule of threes, which means that I looked at everything at least 3 times. PowerPoints, Quizlets, notes. I was the Quizlet queen of my class. Y'all ain't heard about me. Look up my Quizlet links. I stayed up, typed my Quizlets because they also help me memorize the information and learn. So I would go through the PowerPoints. Then I would read the notes, like the notes that other students created. Like we shared our notes in class. I would go through the notes, highlight whatever. Also, as I read the PowerPoint. And then I would do my Quizlets. And I would spend like a whole day or hours doing the Quizlet cards. And I would like type them so I could like really remember them and know what I'm doing, or know what I'm studying. And then I would do it all 3 times. So I would start saying, like, I had a test on Monday. On Friday, I would start studying, and Friday I would like go over the PowerPoint a couple times, and then I would go over the PowerPoint with my notes, like highlighting stuff, of course, and with books, and then with the computer in front of me, looking up, looking up stuff on YouTube as I like go through this PowerPoint, writing stuff down, of course, and then I would go PowerPoint and PowerPoint and notes, and I would do Quizlet. Like, say, Sunday, I would spend like all day Sunday doing my Quizlets, and then I would go over them, just keep going over the flashcards, keep going over the flashcards, keep going over the flashcards, and stuck with me. And then the morning of my test, I would only have my notes. I have my notes, and then I would just go through it one last time. Sometimes I would sit in my car, go through it, go and take that test, get a 95, and be fine. I was like I always got like low to mid 90s. I was fine with that. But yeah, that worked for me because, like I said, I was big on repetition. So I did everything that I can to really get it to stick in me, inside my noggin. What are your thoughts on the name change to physician associate? I think it's, a step in the right direction. I don't really have any sentiments towards it. How did you get into paid travel? I didn't know that was a thing. I may be interested once time comes. I got into traveling when a New York opportunity came up. It was a COVID opportunity my friend sent to me, and I was like, dang, I need the money. Let me go. Basically. So that's how I got into traveling. And I ended up, I didn't like it because I was away from home, but I liked it. The money was good. There was COVID money. COVID money is different from regular money, guys. Be mindful of that. That was a once in a lifetime thing. It's not going to happen again. Hopefully another global pandemic doesn't happen again. I hope never, ever, ever. But yeah, they were doing crisis pay. So you were getting paid a lot of money. And I went on board and did that. And then I found that, I was able to create my own schedule. So I would do it like work. I would like work 3 weeks straight in a row. When I mean 3 weeks straight in a row, I mean like 3 weeks straight in a row. I would be off like 1 or 2 days, and then I would put myself to be off like a week, the end of the week, and I would travel. And I found that I liked that. And I liked the fact that I was in charge of my own schedule. That's what I like the most about travel work. Like, I give my own availability, and they have to adhere to that. They have to abide by my schedule. So that's what I meant by creating the life that you want. So that's what I like the most about travel work. And I decided to do it again. And I basically been doing it for like a year. but I'm not sure. I might do it like from time to time. But like I said, I'm thinking about it. Do you have to wear heels for interviews? No, you don't. I'm just a little sassy queen. I just like always like, I don't know, I like wearing heels. So you don't. You wear whatever you're comfortable in. What met your standards for the schools that made you decide you wanted to apply to them? Just to also be transparent with you guys, as a minority, I was actually big on seeing professors that look like me, right? Seeing minority professors because I felt that, like, they connected with me or they can connect with me, and that, it was a similar experience as a minority, as a female, seeing professors, seeing people, marginalized groups in high places, right? So that was a big thing for me, actually. That was one of the reasons why I chose Scarlet too. And of course, pants pass rates, of course, tuition, of course, accreditation. Okay, so working with PAs and shadowing them during free time you have at work is what I think they're trying to say. Oh, I wouldn't even mention it like that. I wouldn't say that. I would just say shadow. I wouldn't say that I worked with them. Let's say that with my current job, I work directly with paid. I'm also getting paid from care. Can I include those as shadowing hours with the paid? It's a gray area. I would just, I'm not going to tell y'all. If they think that's fraud, they think that's fraud, then don't do it. Okay? So it's 8 o'clock. Any more questions? Going once, going twice, forever hold your peace. Yeah, I wouldn't mention it. Yeah, I wouldn't mention it. Alrighty, guys. I hope this was an informative session. I'll be in better spirits hopefully in the next week or two. Um, thank you so much, guys. No, I do not email the quiz. You should receive an. I don't. I don't. It should be a link to take the quiz. It should be up either tonight or tomorrow. I hope you learned as usual and learned more about the profession. Not just the profession, but healthcare, of course, the ins and outs of being a medical provider, being a healthcare worker. Okay, any other questions, guys? I hope you have a great week. Remember, what's for you will be yours. Don't forget that. Keep hope alive. All right, namaste. Good night. Bye, guys. Have a great week.